What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning to another episode of Right on Cue Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Logan Chestnut with Small Badge Barbecue. Joining me tonight is the best from the West, Mr. Rusty Monson of Salt City Barbecue. Mr. Rusty, how you doing, senor?
Good, man. Just, chilling. It's Monday, I guess. That's freaking crazy.
It's Monday. It's
dark out already because of daylight savings time.
I hate it. When are they ever going to fix that shit? I'm so tired of it. Like, I'm getting off work and it's like dark. I go to work and it's dark.
I know. It's the worst. Like having a food truck, it's like people don't want to come out at dark, and it's cold. So at least the sun would keep people coming out. Now it's just like, we're not going. So
I mean, the mean streets of Utah, man. I mean, I don't know, man. It's sketchy after dark.
Totally. You might get a cookie with raisins in it instead of not raisins, because you gotta watch that shit, man. Because they'll put raisins in it if you're not watching, if you're not careful.
You turn the corner and somebody pop out and go, "Hey, you heard the good news?
I got some cookies. You want some? Sure. Grab them, motherfucker." So yeah,
no, stop it. No, dude. I saw your Saints.
Yeah.
You don't want to let that go. I had to bring it up, man. What happened? What happened there?
Do you know what's a crazy story? I'm a Utah Jazz fan and I'm a Saints fan, obviously. And their trajectories have, besides the Super Bowl, have been so parallel. It's the weirdest thing. We had Breeze, but just couldn't go over the top, and then we had like Darren Williams on the Jazz with like Carlos Boozer, and we just couldn't get over the top. And then they won. And then when the Jazz sucked, the Saints suck. Now the Jazz are the only team in the NBA not to have won a game, and I think we're one away from last place as the Saints. It sucks. It's kind of what I thought it would be, and hoped that it wouldn't after those first two games. And now no Moss Dennis Allen, and we'll see what Rizzy does. And I'm just hoping for a high round pick so we can get a quarterback. That's all I care about. And I hope to God that's the plan. I hope Gail Benson put the wrong person in place to make it happen.
What do you think of the Shadur Sanders, Deion's kid? Because Titans, I'm a Titans fan. We're in the same freaking boat. And it kills me to say because Will Levis, our quarterback, is from University of Kentucky. So, I'm a little biased. And I really wanted that to work out because I was going to have my custom Will Levis jersey with half Titans, half Kentucky made. And it's looking like that's not going to happen because he sucks.
I don't know. Like, it's hard to before Jaden Daniels, I probably would have told you like, meh, they don't come along very often, and
they don't.
Daniels,
so I know, but you start look at. I mean, I don't like the Caleb Williams kid from the Bears. I hate him, and I want the Bears to fail so bad. But no, I don't know, man. Quarterback, like rookie quarterbacks are like you're playing roulette. It just there's so many misses before you get it. And I honestly think the later round ones do better just because A, you don't pay them as much, and B, they're hungrier.
Was it Mitch Trubisky that got drafted that draft that was Patrick Mahomes? I'm pretty sure that was the same one.
Yep.
Yeah, that worked out.
And then Tom Brady, Mr.
Tom Brady and Brock Purdy, they're unicorns. Tom Brady,
Mr.
Irrelevant.
How about that, man? You struck gold with Mr. Irrelevant?
And that never happens though. That's just not
never.
Like the most you're gonna get is everyone's talking crap on Lamar Jackson. Everyone passed up on him. Finally, they took him in the last pick of the first round.
Yeah,
and I was like, he's gonna suck. That's about as bad as it gets.
Oh my God.
So,
dude, Brock Purdy, they're paying him like a ham sandwich and a Subway gift card, like his first couple of years, and now he's probably one of the highest paid athletes in football. But Anywho, man, did you take a gander at the Royal, the beautiful weather that they had out there?
I didn't pay attention to the weather part of it. Was it cold?
No, it rained. It pretty much like rained the whole damn time. It seemed like.
Did it?
Yeah, but no back-to-back repeats. So QU, you still hold the title. But man, it was good. Some friends of ours got some good calls. Smoke Me Silly, we're on the show. They ended up 4th overall. My good buddy Cotton Barbecue out of Bowling Green, a shout out to you. He got 12th in brisket, something like that. He got a ribbon, so I was stoked to hear that. So I mean, I feel like those contests, if you get a ribbon, that's saying something. You hear your name called at all, that's saying something.
That's cool. So good friend of mine, Chris Webb, to RGC, and so gotta give a big shout out to him. Steve O from Las Vegas took 19th. West showed out a little bit this time. We got Luton Booty. He got some hardware, and
I don't think Feel the Grill. I didn't see any Feel the Grill videos of him out there.
He probably was with Sterling from Lincoln Booty. I bet something like that. I don't know if he
Maybe.
did. I'm not sure. Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe they didn't let him borrow everything this time. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? I can't say nothing. I borrow all kinds of shit when I compete. And especially off this guy that I'm gonna bring on. Like I said today, if you haven't noticed how I'm dressed, it was a deer episode. It's one of my favorite times of year. This is like Christmas to me because I truly enjoy this. Getting out in the woods, getting away from everything, and being in nature. And I say in nature, I have deer huts with heaters and windows. So I don't know if you could say that's nature, more glamping. I do have to pull the trigger myself, so that counts.
He wanted me to come out this year and hunt with him just so I can give him massages. I'm like, bro.
100%. Yes, I totally want you to give me some good.
I need some massages because I sit there too long. I need someone to go get my drinks and my sodas and my Cheetos.
Yeah, dude, you know what's bad? Like my little fridge went out at my deer hut. Like, you know, I have my coffee maker and my little fridge, and like the fridge went out. I have to get a new one this year. But
man, can't get your ship out.
I know. I just kick me while I'm down. But no, man, let's bring on our guest tonight. We're gonna do a little round table, kind of talk about our experiences deer hunting, all things deer hunting, cooking, deer camp, all that good jazz. So without further ado, back to the stage, Mr. Brian Ford of Electrocuted Barbecue. What's up?
What's happening, guys?
Have you found your Lucky Charms? Are they still missing?
Nope, still missing.
All right, still missing. And then also a longtime viewer of the show, Mr. Chad Corte from the great state of Illinois.
What's going on?
What's up, buddy, man? What's going on, guys? So deer season's upon us. Thank y'all for coming on to the first annual deer episode, because that's all I've been watching lately. My wife's like, what are you doing? I have those little cellular yep, that sounds right. Trail cams, and she's like, what the hell's that vibrating? I'm like, oh, nothing. It's what are you doing? Are you looking at deer again? No, it's porn. I'm looking at porn.
That's better.
It's totally, I keep looking at it every time it goes off. You may see me tonight, be like, oh shit, what's going on? Where's my stands? But no, it's some good ones, man. So how have you guys gone? Have y'all hit the trees yet?
I'm still in barbecue mode.
Still man, fuck barbecue. It's over.
Yeah, we have we had our youth season was the second weekend of October. Both my kids deer hunt. My whole family hunts. Myself, my wife, and my daughter and son. They're 11, Bryson and Briley. Bryson's been hunting for probably 4 years now, and Briley just kind of started getting into it. Last year was her first youth hunt. She killed a doe this year during youth season, and my son got his first buck, a little 4-pointer. First buck with hunting these 4 or 5 years. He's been pretty persistent this last year and a half. He's been letting does walk because he wanted to kill that buck, and so he finally got that done. Actually, my wife was sitting with him that night, and she got it all on video. It was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Oh, I remember. I mean, when you're a kid, like I haven't taken my kids hunting yet, because they're still, 8 and 5. But is that right? Yeah, that's right. My wife's gonna listen to this like, what are you talking about? No, they're not. But it's close enough. But no, I haven't taken them yet because I know, like, I get them in there, and it'll be like 5 minutes, and it's dark, and they'll be like, I'm scared, and then like, when are the deer coming? Or and that's awesome that your wife hunts and like she knows the thing. Like I've taken my wife one time and we sit there and it's a little cold and she's like, when are we gonna leave? I'm like, honey, it's been 15 minutes. When did the deer coming? It's like that Bill Engvall joke. He says, you know what? I forgot to book an appointment with them. I don't know. They didn't respond to my text. But no, man, it's that time of year, so I'm super excited. We got deer camp coming up next week, so it's a good time. Rusty, you said you used to be a pretty avid deer hunter yourself, correct?
Oh yeah, back when I was young, it was kind of a big deal. Like we come from, it's if you know anything about Utah now, it's kind of weird to hear me say this, but where I grew up was very small. I think I've mentioned on here before, like the movie Footloose with Kevin Bacon was filmed in my town.
Yes.
and it was itty bitty. And so, you know, it was kind of a weird thing because there was not a lot of people. Most everyone hunted though, and we would go hunting, but we would poach a lot. It was kind of very common practice. It was illegal, but everyone did it because it literally was a part of, I'm not saying it was necessary for survival or anything like that, but it was a good way to get meat. And that just kind of was the norm. And so we did a lot of that stuff. And we
like
hunted
spotlighting or like just poaching?
No, just straight up driving around. Oh, there's deer.
Okay.
You know,
Are you beyond the statutes of limitations?
I don't know, but come for me, man. Well,
Better be careful.
prove it. But you know, and it was frowned upon. Of course, you could get in trouble for it, but it was just funny because some people, you know, you knew the guy, you know, you knew your ranger. It's like, hey man, what's up? Yeah, you know. So, but no, it was, I hunted a lot in the West. Out here, we have, you know, mule deers, and so it's. But we hunted everything though. We hunted it all. We did bear hunting. We did all of it. So it was. We did a lot of rifle hunting, but bow hunting was a big one in my family, and we are and were big muzzleloader hunters. So that's kind of what we did.
Dude, I love. I want to get bow hunting. I feel like, you know, I talked to my other hunters that are like actually hunters. I call them actual hunters that bow hunt, and I feel like modern rifle hunting to the serious hunters is kind of like pellet cookers to the guys that use offsets. Is like it's kind of cheating, and I'm like, nah, screw you guys. I do what I want. I pellet cook and I modern rifle my 308. But no, let's talk about what weapons you guys use. Like whenever you go deer hunting, what is your caliber of choice? That's always something I'm always curious about. Brian, start with you.
If we're talking rifles, 30-30 is probably my favorite for around here because there's so much brush.
Yeah, that's a great brush gun.
If I'm getting any kind of distance, I've got a Winchester short mag.
Oh yeah,
That's probably my two. I like a 30-06 too.
30-06 is like, I think it's like the traditional classic round. That's what I started on, was a 30-06 and also a 5.56. But Chad, how about you, buddy? What's your go-to round?
So
Illinois.
In the communist state of Illinois, we're only allowed to use shotguns to deer hunt with. They did just allow 350 Legends straight wall cartridge rifle. It has to be a single shot. So if it has a 5-round clip, you have to buy the bobsled to replace the clip with, so you can only have 1 round in the gun. So I shoot a 12 gauge H&R with a slug barrel on it. It's one of the best shotguns, deer hunting shotguns you can shoot at, in my opinion. And then myself and my wife also bow hunt. So we basically we're in the timber from October 1st till January 15th is the end. We can bow hunt that entire time except for the 2 shotgun seasons, which is always the weekend before Thanksgiving and the weekend after Thanksgiving.
See, he's a real hunter.
I don't know about that, but
the bow hunter, man. Rusty, so you're a big bow hunter. Like being a bow hunter, I feel like the hardest thing to do, but I see that monster buck and it's just out of range, and you guys sit there and watch it because I'm doing nothing but creeper mode, like watching YouTube videos of these like guys that are bow hunting and stuff, and they're like watching these like massive like monster deer just like, I don't know, 150 yards out, and you see them on video, and I'm over here like, shoot the damn thing, shoot it. And then they're like, no, you gotta be very quiet. So I feel like Elmer Fudd, like we're hunting rabbits. And I'm like, shoot the damn thing. But no, I mean, that's I get
hard.
it.
You gotta be super patient because it's like you know, especially me, I am a recurve. I use recurve. I'm not a compound guy.
Sure.
In fact, the recurve I use is a bow that was made for my grandfather in the late 60s.
Oh, that's dope.
So it's a very nice, but it's funny. My dad has the same one. They were built at the same time, and they've had them ever since. And so you have to be much quieter, and you have to be. I'm not going to say you have to be much closer necessarily, but with a recurve, it's more difficult. So a little bit more. I'm not going to say it's the biggest difference. It's much easier with the compound, as everyone knows, but it's all about the patience. Your heart's racing. it's it's just a whole thing. So it's very, very I think it's funner. Personally, that's why I like to do muzzleloader if I'm going to have to do a rifle. I don't even do rifle. I did 30-06 when I was a kid, and that's where I got all my deers when I was younger. But when we switch over to muzzleloader, it's the same kind of concept. I use a Traditions muzzleloader, and so you got to get closer. Everything's got to be, So
Yeah.
I think that just doing those two things, you kind of learn. It's kind of how it is now. I don't even know. Honestly, it's been so long since I've even shot a rifle that I don't even know what I would do. Just sit 400 yards and shoot something like that'd be fantastic.
Right. 400 yards, you just stick it out there and just pull the trigger, man. They'll go down. Those are easy shots.
400 feet, whatever.
No, 400 yards. No,
it would seem. I don't know. I'm not saying it's obviously much easier, but it's just something I haven't done in a while. So I would, I like it. I like to be up close.
I hear you. I like to be up close too, so I don't miss. But but sometimes I still do. No, like I use a RPR 308, which is cheating, like a little sniper rifle. And I have a scope, a Vortex scope that goes way out past what I can hit. But I enjoy just sitting there and so whenever I have friends come down, I always love guiding them or showing them. And being in Western Kentucky, we have some pretty big deer. Not like the mule deer. Mule deer up in Utah, like mule deer compared to whitetail. I feel like, I don't know if you guys, Chad and Brian, you ever seen mule deer?
Yeah.
Their bodies are massive, but their racks are little bitty.
That's why when he said 4, my son got a 4 point. I'm like, wow, that's wait, that's not good there. That's okay. That's fantastic.
That's great. That leads me to the next question I want to talk to you about. So what is your opinions on the what kind of buck, if you're hunting bucks, what buck are you after? Like how old or how big? Like what bucks do you let walk, or is it brown if it's down? Like what's your mindset on that? Like start with you, Chad.
So obviously, I mean, I've been gun hunting since I was 13, and I got into bow hunting around 16, and I'm almost 40 now. So my priorities and my goals have changed for sure. Nowadays, I mean, I'm not great at aging bucks, and these guys talk about, having a 2-year-old on their cameras and they can tell the next year when they're 3 years old that it's the same deer and it's grown. I'm not good at that. But I've just tried to up my goals. I've only killed one buck with my bow. I have killed a buck with my shotgun when I was just gun hunting. But I'm pretty much I'm looking for something that I'm proud of. I'm not.
Are you going past the ears?
Yeah, I'm looking past the ears. Some pretty good mass. I'm saying 140s, 150-inch bucks. I would be more than happy to take. And I just think, as most guys would probably agree, the longer you do it, you just basically kind of, the goal keeps on raising a little bit after every year. And my main thing that I like to tell everybody is you got to quit watching this social media stuff and all these deer hunters that shame these guys for shooting little deer. And it's like, if you're happy, take the shot. Who cares what anybody else thinks?
Yeah, I mean that's true. I mean, I'm not an advocate for shooting like a little 3-point basket rack. Like some of these guys I see come on, especially and there's a difference between public and private land, which I'll talk about as well when you're hunting, because public or private land, you can be a little more selective and you can kind of watch the deer, like you say, grow over the years. So you kind of have the same herd. Whereas public, it's the Wild West. I feel like Mad Max. Somebody's gonna come out here and their mask would just mow it down with a machine gun. But Brian, how about you, man? What are you after?
Man, I don't really have like you said, I can't really age deer on the hook like a lot of people can. I just look for something that's more mature. I don't have a point that I go after. Last year, I hunted almost every weekend. I shot at 1 8-point that I missed because I shot my blind. Other than that, I let everything walk last year. But it sounded like World War III from all the other properties around. They were shooting anything that moved.
Uh-huh.
And,
So
I mean,
are you hunting for horn? Are you horn hunting or are you hunting for meat?
man, I'm horn hunting. We don't really need venison. I mean, I've still got deer in the freezer from season before last. We don't eat a whole lot of it.
I fear.
So
How about you?
I don't really have to hunt for meat. So I enjoy sitting in the woods and just watching the deer as much as I do killing one. Because if you kill one, then you got to work.
Yeah, that's when the work starts.
Yeah, I that's why I'm so selective when I hunt my deer, because it's like as soon as I pull the trigger, I'm like, now I got to spend another 2 hours bringing this thing down, and that in the back of my head, because I'm lazy a little bit, especially in the afternoon hunts when it gets dark and it's warm. I'm like, I can't let this thing hang. Like I'm like, all right, shit, do I really want to gut this thing and field dress it and everything? And most of the time I say no. Every once in a while, this dude will look at me and I'll lay it down. But Rusty, like up there, like when you hunted, like I said, were you hunting more for meat? Is venison like a big popular protein up here around Utah?
Yeah, it's huge. Like most people, it just for me, it just depends on what day of the week it is in the hunt. the longer it gets,
like, oh shit, there you go.
the smaller it gets. There's a little bit of both, but when it comes down to it, it's more about kind of like Brian was saying, just being out there.
Yeah.
And then second, it's meat, because I mean, my family will destroy it.
It's so good.
And less about the horns. However, my family, they all have their trophies, and it's cool to, and it'd be cool to be one of them. I never got anything that big, and it'd be cool to do, but it's mostly for just being out there with the family, friends, out in the, walking around in the woods, and it's snowing a little. It's just a cool environment, and then definitely eating it. That's the best part.
I love venison. A lot of people don't like venison around here. I feel like because mainly they don't know how to cook it. But another thing I was going to talk about this before we talk about the deer meat. Another thing you talking about how Chad was talking about like social media, or you see like these deer videos of these hunters that are doing the TV hunting, and a lot of people don't realize 99% of those deer hunts are in high fence properties, and like seeing these, and they don't even look pretty. Like some of these deers, like if you're in a high fence properties and you see like this moose, that's a whitetail, and some of them, like some of these like non-typicals, they look like freaking, they have like tumors sticking all over their antlers and stuff, and like that doesn't even look good to me. That looks terrible. Like I would prefer like a nice widespread, like 8, 10, 12 pointer versus a 46 pointer.
Yeah.
And it's not fair. It's like the only boobies you've seen is in a Vegas strip club. It's like those aren't real. That's not the real ones. I mean, there's other ones out there, and then they're better. And it's like, so like people are judging like, oh, it's not a 200 incher. I'm like, dude, I have never seen a 200 inch deer in my life. Wild.
Yeah, this is actually the buck that my wife shot this year.
That's a good looking, that's a symmetrical sides.
He's got this weird horn coming off the back.
Yeah. See, that's fine though, but you know what the deers I'm talking about, where you see the ones that are like freaking look like Christmas trees on their heads.
Oh yeah.
I hate that. Like, do y'all have so we have around here the Amish have deer farms. I'm not a big fan of the Amish. But they have deer farms out here. And like I've driven out there and seen some of these things, and like I'm like, they're just moose. They're
freaks
just
of nature.
They're freaks of nature. And like these things are like the Barry Bonds of deer. Like they are so jacked up on steroids and calcium and I don't know, whatever else they're doing. They're breeders. That's all they are. I'm like, how much is that deer? They're like, oh, that deer's like $20,000. I'm like, what the hell? And I literally saw, this is no bullshit. I saw a guy, he was from New York, somewhere up north. I saw his license plate. Literally get out of his SUV, pick the deer out, say, yep, that one. They walk Lassie over to the fence, and he goes, boom, and just, all right, thank you.
Yeah.
And they're like, we'll mail it to you. And they're like, I killed a big one.
Yeah, there's a couple high fence places to hunt in Southern Illinois, and it's the same way. It's just nothing but these pro athletes that come down there and they basically show them pictures of all the deer, and
you pick it out.
This deer's 10 grand, this deer's 15 grand, this deer's 20 grand, and they basically pick out which one they want to shoot, and they go put them in a stand. And what do you know? That deer walks right in front of them.
Yeah, I mean,
I wish
I'm
I had
not
that
gonna
kind of money.
no joke.
Yeah.
I'm not letting those kind of deer walk. I don't have that like good of self control personally. Like if I see deer like that, like I will hit it with my car if it's in the wild. And we're like, oh no,
Yeah.
call Jake from State Farm because this baby's on my wall. But well, let's talk about moving on. Like, I love. What do you guys think about deer farms and stuff like that? Like now that they're, especially like all these ones you see on TikTok, they're essentially just horses. I mean, they're doing to deer hunting what we as Kentuckians did to horse racing. I mean, they're just raising them. It's all genetics. It's all just shipping out to high fence farms, and it's just you get this false sense of like, oh, you see this stuff on TV, and then you see one in the wild, you're like, oh, well, it's not that big. And I think it's kind of dying it down.
Yeah, I think the problem is if some of the TikTok stuff I see, and even some stuff on Facebook, like some of the high fence farms are pretty straightforward and actually kind of advertise like they that they're a high fence.
Yeah.
That, I mean, I guess I don't really care if that's what you do for a business, and if you're getting guys to pay you
money.
40 or 50 grand to come and shoot one of these deer. I guess I don't have anything against that, but I'm not a big fan of them. Yeah, of them not, like these TV hunters
Sure.
shooting a deer and they pretty much play it off like it was,
all natural
out in the wild, all natural, no high fence, which I know some of them do. Some of the TV hunters don't hunt high fences, but I just feel like if the TV hunters that do hunt high fences, I think that the right thing to do is to tell people, hey, I did kill this deer in a high fence.
Sure. I picked this one out. This one's Bambi.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really
Hey, Brian.
I don't really let it affect me any. It's kind of like these guys that have the fishing ponds where they
The
buy all the
bass.
giant fish and then they put them in there and people pay to go catch them, and it's a 90% chance that they all die after they're caught. But it really doesn't affect anyone else because most of those fish are being purchased from areas where they're a nuisance anyway. So they're being massively caught and then put in a pond and someone's paying. That somebody's business model doesn't really affect natural fishing around here. Same thing with the high fence.
Right.
Sure.
I took my youngest son and we went on a high fence hog hunt year before last. It wasn't hunting. It was, we went and sat in a box. They fed us breakfast. They drove us to the box. We sat in the box. The hogs were there. We picked the one we wanted. I shot it. But it was getting him out in the woods without him having to, freeze to death. It was an experience, but it's not what I consider hunting.
Right.
Sure. Let's talk about your first hunting experience, because that's one I feel like it's your first time with a girl. You don't forget that. Rusty, what was your first deer hunting experience you can remember that you got your first deer? Like, what's your first deer story?
I was 12. I had my 30-06. I got it for my birthday the year before, 2 years before, something like that. And I went out with, because I grew up, I mean, every morning since I can remember. I don't even remember the beginning of it. We would wake up before dawn, coffee's going, it's black outside, it's cold. My uncles, my aunts, my cousins, me, we're all out, and it's just the best time, man.
It is.
And I just love that smell of coffee, the Folgers in the percolator. And that was such a romantic thing for me, and I wanted to so badly to wait for my turn. Of course the cousins would take our, 410s and go shoot birds and whatever and rabbits, but mostly they go hunt and I'd come with them when I was older and it's just walk and be quiet and track deer and, whatever. So when I got my first 30-06, I was pumped. I was so excited. And we go out to what's now Tinnick. I mentioned Tinnick here. A couple things in Utah. There's Tinnick and there's Henry Mountains. Joe Rogan and those guys hunt those now. It's funny because that was our backyard and now it's this like preserve and that's where the deer are. And and so we go out. we go up on a ridge. There's not a lot of trees we don't have trees here. The tree hunting is
Right.
not a very big deal here. It's you go out and you hike, you sit
Stalk,
on ridges,
stalk and hunt. Yeah.
you know, you put salt licks out. I don't know if they do that anymore. Stuff like that. And then you just wait. Right. And so and then you walk around when you don't see anything. So first morning we're out, whatever. We see nothing on the ridge. Nothing on, there's a little water down there. No, we see nothing. Get up to go. I come up over the ridge, and about 50 feet in front of me is a deer. And I got, oh my gosh, I about shit my pants. I was shaking like this.
Yeah.
And I was like, and he's looking right at me. And I'm thinking, shit. So I grab my gun, I take it off, and the dude just goes, bam. So we track him down. We finally get him. And I get down, I take a shot. First shot rips him in the spinal cord.
Oh, spined him.
And drops him. And then, you know, we go up and shoot him and we get him. And I was the only one that year to get a deer. And that was like one of the coolest moments, not only hunting, but my whole life, because my uncles and my dad were like gods, right? My grandfather. And so to have that happen my first year at 12, when I legally could hunt, was one of the coolest moments of my whole life. I remember that day so clearly. I couldn't tell you anything from the age of 1 to 14, but I'll tell you that day from the beginning to the end. It was the best day.
That's like hunting is like one of those like monumental, like imprinted memories of you. Like people talk about how hunting is so cruel and this, and like I promise you, deer hunters care more about those animals than any vegans or animal rights activists there are. Like we know their routines, we know what they need, we know all this stuff, and like, you know, it's not, we don't go out there just to kill and lay them down and just let them lay, but it's such a imprinted memory on all of us. Chad, what about what was your first deer hunting experience?
So I'm pretty sure I was either 13 or 14, and my dad started taking me, and my mom was finally okay with me walking around the woods with a gun by myself. And we, at this time, we hunted with pretty close to home, or closer to home than we hunt now. It was a buddy of my dad's, had some property. We didn't have any property to hunt. So they had property in the bottoms. And we would basically go at this time, we would go sit in a stand. I had my own, me and my dad had our own ladder stands, but we were literally close enough that my dad could see, like he could see me. We were probably only 40 yards away from each other. But we would sit there until like 8 o'clock in the morning. And then we would get down and go back up to the little, at that time, we all slept in a school bus. They took all the seats out, put cots and bunk beds in, and had a wood stove in there. No electricity, no running water. And then after 8, we would go back, eat a little breakfast, and then we would go out and do deer drives. So we would go to all these small patches of timber or whatever, and this is the most dangerous thing. When I sit back and think about it now, I'm like, how did anyone think this was a good idea?
So that's my childhood.
But yeah, you would literally put shooters at the end of the field, and then you'd have guys on the other end that walk through the timber and basically push the deer towards you. So you're basically taking shots as the shooter from the walkers, and the walkers are taking bullets back towards them. As I'm like, needless to say, we don't do that anymore.
No.
We've moved. We sit in our stands, and we definitely sit in our stands longer than 8 o'clock in the morning now. But that is the very first deer I killed was an 8-point buck, and it was on a deer drive. And so, yeah, it's something I'll never forget. But
yeah,
I mean, there was times as a kid, I'm dead serious, that I literally heard slugs zinging past my ears. It was that close. So, I mean, I promise you, if my mom had any idea that that's what we were doing, there was no way I would have been allowed to go.
I remember going on my first hunt like that. Yeah, it's just like you said, man. It's like, what the hell are you thinking? Like, you're literally walking in front of the shooting range, and it's freaking Although some of the guys that come to my deer camp, like, the safest place to be is in front of their barrel, because the amount of deer they miss is insane. But no, Brian, how about you, buddy? What's your first deer experience you remember?
I was probably 12, maybe 13. My uncle took me hunting. There's a few things that really stick out from that day. One, I remember that I was shooting his 243. And I remember when he handed it to me, he explained how important it was not to drop it, not to bump the scope. And I fell like right off the bat, landed flat on my back, but I held the rifle straight in front of me so it didn't hit the ground.
Uh-huh.
And we were hunting on a fence row, and there were turkeys roosted above us that we didn't know were there. Obviously, we got in before daylight, and the turkeys all flew down at daybreak. And he had to tell me not to shoot the turkeys. Oh, yeah, it scared the shit out of me. So he told me not to shoot the turkeys, and we sat there, and there were, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 deer that came up in the field that we were looking into. And he told me to get ready, take my shot. I don't remember what all the deer were. I just remember I looked through the optic, and I shot the first thing that was brown.
Yeah.
And he said, well, that's one way to do it. And apparently I shot the tiniest one out of the whole bunch. He said, why'd you shoot the little one? I said, it was the first one I saw.
That's it.
It was a good clean shot. We walked over to it. He didn't field dress it or anything. He just grabbed it by one back leg and one front leg and just picked it up with one hand and walked away with it.
You had we call those crock pot deers.
Yeah, it was
drop them in a crock pot, you're good to go.
Barely not Bambi. That was the first deer I ever killed. Probably weighed 50 pounds.
Dude, those are the best. Those are the most tender deer though that you can eat. I love those kind of deer. If I don't kill a big buck, it's one of those kind of deer. That's the one I like to shoot. Unless my kids are listening, then I only kill bad deer.
Right.
But no, I remember my first deer hunting experience. So my dad, I had an SKS, so that was my first rifle that my dad's, and then he gave to me, and that was my first actual deer rifle. I remember the first year I went deer hunting, I was with a Nerf gun, and I thought I was going to lay that bastard down with my Nerf gun, but my dad didn't tell me that Nerf gun doesn't kill deer. So finally, when I got my SKS, we went to the tree stand, and I remember sitting there, and it was a cold morning. There's a little fog on the ground, and I'm over here just buck fever. I'm shaking. I'm a little kid. I'm like, let's go. And then my dad's sitting there with me, and my dad had just put the scope on his SKS because he was a man. He didn't need the scope, but I was a baby, and I needed a scope apparently. And so I'm sitting there staying, and man, I am not kidding you. Daylight comes. I'm on there's a field on each side. There's a woods behind me, and there's a hill that's like right to my left. And daylight comes, and it was like a deer rave. I saw like 20 deer just coming from all over, and I'm over here like, when I went to go pull my rifle up, I tried to I'll set it up, and my scope was doing this. My dad forgot to tighten down the scope. So I'm over here going, boom. And then the deer just looked at me like, what the hell is that? And I'm like, boom, boom. And then that deer ran off. I'm like, shit, I missed. And then I'm like, so another deer, I'm like, boom, boom, boom. And then I ran out of bullets and had to reload, so I put more bullets in. And then that deer ran off, and then I was like, shit, there's another deer. Boom. And so finally they all ran off. I ran out of bullets, and I told my dad, because my dad wasn't hunting with me. He was standing across. He said, shit, how many deer you killed? I said, I missed them all. He goes, what? He said, how the hell did you miss that many deer? I said, I don't know. I was aiming at the scope, and it was moving. He goes, oh crap, sorry. But when I got down to the stand, he walked. He said, well, where'd you shoot this one? And so you walk over and check, and then there's a deer there, and then there's a deer there, and then 2 days later we found another deer I killed. So my first deer experience was similar to Nam. I'll just grip, fire and praying, just hoping I hit something, and I hit hit 2 doe, or 1 doe and a buck, and a buck looked like it just got done from the nursing home, and it had warts on its antlers. It was just it was terrible. But of course, I saved the antlers, and it's sitting in our bathroom now, and people are always like, "What's that? Would you kill that deer?" I'm like, "Don't worry about that deer. That's none of your business. That's don't worry about that one. That's like you bring the faggot on from the bars. Like, don't worry about that one. That one's in there. It's fine." But no, that's my from now on, I make sure the scope's sighted in and it's tight, so I don't have that experience again. That was not cool. We had a lot of deer that year.
Tripling with a bad scope's not bad. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
I've missed deer with a scope that was perfectly fine. I just fucking missed.
Here's another question I want to ask you. What is as deer hunters, what is one thing that annoys you most, like when you deer hunt? Like, what is the one thing that just gets on your nerves? Rusty, I'll start with you, buddy.
Out here we do a lot of public land,
Mhm.
and like I said, it's kind of the norm. So you get a lot of people who think it's ATV season, and you'll be sitting there and everything's quiet out there. And I'm like, no, don't, please don't be guys. Come to me, cool. Get up. Well, my dad is he's a good old boy, right? But he does not do well with that stuff, and it was so embarrassing because he would, dude,
just cuss them.
Oh yeah, they'd have kids on the back, and he would just be, dude, screaming at them. That's my thing. I just the disrespect. Like you got to know. Like, you got it. It's Utah. Like there's two things in Utah. That's one of them is hunting, and when everyone knows what that is,
Right.
So that's my biggest one.
Yeah, for sure. I hate when you're sitting in a stand, all of a sudden you hear wah! Or like we have some asshole neighbors, and he'll at 4 a.m. start his leaf blower, and I can hear it, or he'll do his lawnmower, just start and leave it running. I mean, I hate asshole neighbors. But Chad, how about you, buddy? What's something you hate or annoys you when it comes to deer hunting?
So this, squirrels annoy the shit out of me.
Yes.
I'm old enough now that I can tell you. I know when I hear it, it's definitely a squirrel and not a deer. But I still look every time, and I just stare at the sound till I verify that it's for sure a squirrel. But squirrels, they got to be the most annoying. They have to be the most annoying thing when you're sitting in the timber, and it's nice and quiet, and it seems like it doesn't matter where you're sitting in the timber. You're surrounded by them stupid squirrels, and then they start barking at each other. And
funny you should say that. Brian, how about you? Then I got something I'll show you.
I mean, other than the things already mentioned, probably the most annoying thing for me is getting a piece of property, getting permission to hunt a piece of property, working it for a couple of seasons, start getting it about where you want it. You've not killed any of the bucks on it because you're thinning the doe population and waiting. And then all of a sudden, hey, my grandkids decided they want to start hunting. Now you can't come out here anymore. Come get all your stands.
Oh, motherfucker.
Oh, man, that pisses me off.
It does. Chad, I'm with you, buddy. Squirrels drive me nuts. And speaking of squirrels, I found this video on TikTok that I'm going to show that sums it up perfectly for you non-hunters.
One coming in behind me. Sounds like a big buck. Dang it. It's another frickin' squirrel.
Think you're a horrible shot with that bow, or else I'd be a little nervous right now.
If that doesn't sum up squirrels and deer season, I don't know what does.
Yeah, for sure.
That was a video by Skyler. Check him out on TikTok. He makes hilarious deer hunting videos. So
yeah, I've seen some of his videos. They are freaking hilarious.
And like it's every like deer hunter's like just annoyances he brings out and shows, and it's awesome. It's like is another thing is like when you're on, how many times have you done this? You're sitting in a stand and like you think, oh, I'm gonna hear a deer walk up. I've been hunting for 25 years and I've never in my life heard a deer walk up on me. Nope. They are brown ninjas. And
they're stealthy.
They are super stealthy. You look down, or like how many times you taking a nap in a stand, or like you dozed off and you look up, you're like, there's 3 deer in front of you. Like, where the hell did they come from? Or my favorite thing now, especially with the cell phones, like you see people on cell phones in deer stands, and like during the day, like you do the afternoon hunt, it's not that big of a deal because it's not gonna shine up. But like if you're on your cell phone and it's like early in the morning, I feel like you're sitting in like a lighthouse.
Yeah.
Or like all the deer like, well, screw this guy, we ain't going there. It's like it's road raggy. How's it like there in Utah, man. I bet like with stalk. Well, you guys are stalking those, or like y'all didn't get to sit in trees or stuff like that. So you can't like if you're in huts like I am. Like I'm a bougie hunter. I'll admit it. You know what? You can say what you want, but I like comfort. I paid my dues. It's kind of like you're barbecuing for the first time. Like I feel like if you're gonna barbecue first time, you got to suffer. You can't sleep. You got to stay up all night, and you got to be cold and get rain on. And that's kind of how I feel like your first experience deer hunting should be. You should not be able to first time you hunt in these fancy huts. It's like barbecue trailers. They come later after you pay your dues. But like I paid my dues and I froze my butt off and I've cried icicles. And I just got a new redneck blind. And I don't know if you've seen those things, but they're pretty much bougie little deer campers.
We have two of them.
Yeah, they're so nice, man. They're so nice. They got like soundproofing them and stuff. And no, there's nothing worse though if you get in those things and all of a sudden you just like get on your cell phone and it just lights up the whole damn. Like if I'm with somebody and they're on their cell phone when I'm hunting, I'm trying to guide them. I'm like, hey, let's put the phone down so we can see the deer. The deer's not on your phone. It's on the field. Because so especially the big bucks. The big bucks, you have what, maybe 10 seconds. Like I've never seen big bucks. They always, especially on our property, they always hug like the tree line. Have you guys ever seen like a nice buck like just chill out in the middle of a field? It never happens.
No.
Not when it's not deer season. Yeah.
Oh, not deer season. They'll like sit there and like twerk for you, like hey, or like oh, there's a trail cam. Let me show my head.
Comes up and it's like,
yeah, exactly. He was like, hey, I heard his wife said that he has to take his kids Halloween. So here, let's go in front of his trail cam. Hey, screw you guys. That's how they always are.
I don't know. Like, I'm not against it. Like, I used to be a hardcore backpack guy, and it was just like would sleep on the ground, right? You wouldn't catch me dead doing that now. I'm like, I need a purple mattress in my RV, I'm about that life. But I don't know, man. Like, I think growing up, you have to stalk deer and walk around, and that was the fun of it. I think that was really fun for me. It was just you walking, trying to find, and of course you trying to be as quiet as possible. You're like hunting, you're literally as, you have weapons that, go long distances and kill instantly. But I mean, I think that's as close to primitive hunting as you can get. I think that's, I think it's fun, but yeah, you'd see me in a tree if I could in a heartbeat, but it's also, I think I'd miss that aspect of it. I think that aspect is really fun,
I think about deer hunting. That's more special to me now that I've been doing it for many years is the deer camp, the camaraderie you have. Like, I mean, I'm sure all of us have great deer camp memories. I enjoy that more than I do the hunting aspect of it itself. Because I mean, our deer camp, if you come, like you're in the inner sanctum if you're at our deer camp, because I don't invite many people, and when you do come, you're in inner sanctum, and you got to cook, you got to pull your own weight. You're not just there. You're not a paid hunter. You didn't pay me, so you gotta pay your dues somehow. But no, the deer camp, the camaraderie. I'm sure all of us have great memories and drunken memories of a deer camp. Do you have anything that sticks out, Brian or Chad, with like your funny PG-13 stories you can tell?
Oh, there's many. I would agree. I would 100% agree with you that deer camp is as much fun, if not more fun, than the actual hunting. The deer, killing a deer is kind of the bonus, honestly. We've had so many good times at deer camp. I mean, from building, we built a teepee in the fire pit one night. We had some logs that were like 7 or 8 foot tall, and we built an 8 foot tall teepee and drank beer around it till the teepee fell over. There's definitely a lot of bush lattes that get. There's more bush lattes that get killed than deer at deer camp for sure. But it is fun just, coming back in from the evening hunt and eating a meal together, whether it's tenderloin or backstrap from a deer that you killed, or chili or soup or whatever. It's kind of the same way. We all take turns. I'll take a meal and cook the meal and then eat, and then usually either play a game of cards or go out and sit by the fire unless it's freezing ass cold outside by that time of the season. But yeah, there's too many stories. Some that are super foggy for me, but
Those are always
it
the
is a
best
good
ones.
time. Deer camp's fun for sure.
How about you, Brian?
Well, we really don't have deer camp. I mean, I'm fortunate that I live in the middle of the woods, so we're just
like,
meeting wherever we're hunting. I mean, we leave the house at 4 and go hunt, and then we go back home. So
Fair enough.
when
man.
I was a kid, going out and hanging out with my uncle, I guess the closest that would be considered to deer camp. I just remember all the older guys telling stories because I was a kid, so I just had to shut up and listen.
Exactly, as you should.
As an adult, I really haven't had deer camp because I mean, even right now, I'm hunting 200 yards behind my house. So I get up, I get ready in the garage, I walk out to the stand and sit in the woods.
Hey, I've killed more deer out of the back porch of the cabin in my underwear than I have in a deer stand. I'll tell you that right now.
I've got pictures of an 8-point from 2 weeks ago that was standing in my driveway, like 20 feet behind my Jeep, just hanging out.
How about you, Rusty? Man, you got some fun deer camp.
Well, the best part, like I said, my whole family, grandparents, uncles, dad, mom, stuff like that. And I think that was the cool part. But, when, like I said, the way we hunted was we walk for miles and miles and miles and up and down hills and back and through and all that stuff. And then you get back and everyone had dinner ready. And oh my God, I don't care what it was, man. It could have been,
You're hungry.
It could have been like deer, poop. And I'd be like, hell yeah. And it was just the best meal of all times. Like just that meal when you get back.
Yeah.
Is so good. But my family, traditionally pretty damn good cooks, so it was always such a good thing. But my favorite was always every year my Uncle Brent would get drunk. I mean, everyone would.
Sure.
He'd get wasted and he'd just wander off to go pee or whatever, and he'd fall asleep somewhere. So before everyone would go to bed, it was go find Uncle Brent. Where did he pass out? Or where did he end up? Well, we had a little hunt of our own every night, and it could be anywhere from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. So we don't know when, how, or what, and how long he'd been out. And I'm telling you, Utah right now, deer season, we're looking like 30 degrees, and snow. It's snowing on the ground right now. There's snow on the ground, and that's what deer hunting is. So he would be out there just face planted in the snow,
freezing his ass off.
We had to get him up, and get him back to his truck camper and and throw him in on the floor. Who gives a shit, And so every year that was the case. It was pretty funny.
That's awesome, man. That's like some redneck snipe hunting. It's like, where's Uncle Snipe? Let's go, guys. Let's go, kid.
Yep.
No, I got a couple. So like I said, my deer camp is pretty tight knit group, and one of my best friends, Lucas, he listens sometimes, so I want to talk shit about him right now. He decided he's a real friendly guy, and he decided one year we have some of my dad's friends are at deer camp, and then my friends are at deer camp, and one year he decided to invite this rando dude to deer camp that he met at a bar in Chattanooga, and he said he asked me if the dude can come, and I said sure. I'm pretty sure I said it sarcastically, and I was drunk when he asked me, so legally I cannot give consent. But I remember briefly, I was like, "Oh, he's kidding." And then we're sitting at the camp playing cribbage, and all of a sudden I see headlights, and like our cabin is not easy to find. It's not like we don't have like a mailbox or nothing like that. Like I was just shocked that this dude pulled up, and I'm like, "Okay, who the hell is this dude?" And then I looked out. I'm like, my buddy was sleeping. I smacked him in the mouth. I said, "Hey, your friend's here." And he goes, "Huh?" And you can see his like just shame in his eyes. He goes, "Oh crap. Okay, let me go talk to him." And like this dude, like he walked into a cabin full of rednecks, drunk with guns, like just like balls, just like, "Hey guys, I'm here." Like everybody's like, "Who in the hell are you?" It's like a random dude off the street showed up at a wedding. It's like, "Who are you?" And then I was pissed. I was just pissed because I couldn't believe he invited somebody. And he said, to be fair, he said I said he could, but I don't remember it. But anyway, so the next day, it's time for I assign all the deer stands, and I told him, I said, "Hey, you and your buddy, you're gonna hunt this stand in the woods." I gave him the shittiest stand and it's the smallest stand. And Lucas was hungover, and I'm like, all right, y'all go to this one. And there's only one seat in the stand. So apparently the crazy dude sat in the chair, and then Lucas like apparently slept on the floor, curled up like a cat. And so the dude, I guess he saw a doe and he killed the doe and he brought it back, blah, blah, blah. No big deal. All right. I'm like, all right, he's going to clean the deer and then leave. No big deal. Cool. Have fun. This dude like was like, he take pictures. I'm like, okay. So he gutted the deer, blood was coming out. He cupped it and drank the blood, ate some of the heart. I'm like, I looked at the look in my buddy's face was just like, oh no. All the guys from Maine that were there, my dad's friends were like, who in the hell is this guy? He's over here like drinking the blood, eating some of the like live organs. He kept everything from asshole to elbow. This dude took it all home. And I'm like, dude, you slept on. I told my buddy afterwards, I said, get him the hell out. And I said, he literally, you had Hannibal Lecter, you know, in the deer stand with a gun, and you were sleeping like a cat on his feet in the middle of the woods. straight out of Dexter. That was this dude. And needless to say, he's never invited back, and my buddy will never live it down. So good times. You don't invite crazy shit. But hey, let's talk cooking, because since we're all cooks and we're all, you know, venison, it's a hard protein to master for a lot of people. What is one of your favorite dishes to make with venison? I mean, obviously the most popular choice, I think, across America, even my friends that don't like deer want deer jerky. I mean, that's, you know, everybody loves deer jerky for some reason. But besides deer jerky, what is one thing that you guys love to make? Like, if you're going to make a meal for your home, like what is one thing you're making? Start off with you, Chad.
I would say backstraps and tenderloins, my favorite. We
like a roast or
no, I sous vide it. We just had it at deer camp last weekend, and I basically put them in a Ziploc bag. And this time I usually use Andrea's, which is steak seasoning or steak marinade. This year I actually used Meyer Mixon's steak marinade, and just dump that in the bag till all the meat's covered. Put it in the sous vide, the water bath, and the sous vide, you don't have to be that worried. I'll usually put it in there at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then pull it out when we get done hunting for the evening, and then finish it on the grill. Usually 130, 135 internal temp on the grill is done, and it's the best way I've ever had it. I mean, it's tender, it's juicy, it's flavorful. But other than that, besides that, obviously Cordy Meats is near and dear to my heart. My best friend Kyle owns the meat shop, and Jay LaBello, as most of the barbecue guys know who that is. They make some phenomenal products, and I would say probably my favorite thing to get made there is probably their bratwurst. Deer brats are pretty good. They're
good.
Really good. Yeah, but yeah, those are probably two of my favorites.
How about you, Brian? What do you like cooking?
Man, I like to keep it simple with venison. Probably my favorite thing to make is deer chili.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can replace anything with ground deer meat, and I don't add a bunch of fat to mine. I just like it, just
pretty lean.
Ground venison. Backstrap, I like to slice and just pan fry, salt, pepper, garlic, a little flour. And then I like to do deer roast either on the smoker or in the oven. And really, to keep my roast from drying out all the way, I cover them in bacon, because everything's better with bacon.
Sure, absolutely.
Low and slow if you're doing a big roast, so it doesn't get so tough you can't chew it. But I like the gamey flavor of venison, which is probably why my family doesn't like it a whole lot. But I don't like to do a whole lot to it. It's good just the way it is.
Yeah. How about you, Rusty?
Of course, jerky. But chili is really good too. But I do a venison, like a deer meat mostly. I know we don't talk about this a lot, but elk is,
so good.
But when I'm not using that, deer bolognese,
Ooh.
Cut it with you ground it up with some, and then fry it up with some pancetta.
Mm.
And you just basically make your normal spaghetti, but it's so good. It gives such a good flavor to it. Also, buco is a good way to do deer with the shanks. But I gotta give it to, if you guys can, it's the flip flop method. That shit is unreal. So Andy Mokel, he does this. It's not his thing. It's a Portuguese thing that the tradition out of California they do. But he takes the deer leg. He does it on a Weber, and he gets that thing roaring hot, right? And he has this base of olive oil, wine, rosemary, all sorts of different stuff. And he uses this brush of rosemary, which is huge. And he just sits there and bastes it, right? Cooks it on one side, just gets that thing roaring hot, flips it over, takes his knife and just shaves the top off and puts it on like a nice fresh like sourdough bread. I cannot stress how good this thing is. Like, he was at a competition we were at in California, and we went up and I was like, deer meat. Oh, that's cool. What he's doing. He's like flipping this big old hunk of meat back and forth, basting it, cutting it with his knife, and it's just doing him by himself. I'm like, I want to be that guy when I grow up. And so he cut me off a piece, and I done the bread, and I'm thinking, I like deer meat. That's really good. And it's gonna be interesting. Half my friends probably hate this. I bit into that, and man, it's one of the best bites of food I've ever had. And I went back in the line. I go, is it cool if I get another one? He's like, sure. I go running back in the back of the line. And then I sat there during, like, we're cooking. I'm watching the line. It goes down. So I walk up to him. Hey, man, I know this is weird, but I'm like obsessed with this. Can I get another one? Talk to him about it and stuff like that. So if you look up Flip Flop Guy on the internet, that is the best way to cook. And it is, oh man, it's unreal if you do it right. I mean, it's one of the best things I've ever ate in my whole life.
I feel like that sounds amazing. I want all of that. All of you just mentioned, I want all of it. I feel like deer is one of the most like misunderstood proteins, especially in this area, because I mean, you can't go to a grocery store or a meat market most places and buy venison. It's kind of one of those things you have to either kill yourself or somebody gives you some. So not a lot of people know how to cook with it. And like when I grew up eating crap deer meat, because the people that I grew up with didn't know how to cook, and so they either they overcooked it, and there's nothing worse in this world than overcooked deer meat. It's freaking leather.
Yeah,
it's awful.
Stringy and awful and leather. That's why I feel like a lot of people have tried that way. But like you was talking about, like if you cook it like a steak, treat venison like any red meat, cook it to like medium rare, and then I actually I do it with Mo taught me his cognac reduction sauce. So I'll do like a cognac reduction sauce on top of it. Then I make a chimichurri and I slice it up and do like a chimichurri on top and put that on some tostadas or something like that. It is so damn good. And venison is such a lean, healthy, great tasting protein. It's a premium protein. And why do you think that not as many people are obsessed about it as they are like beef or even lamb?
It's really what you just said, though. It's not good. Most people don't know how to cook it. I think when you grew up hunting, it was more it was just fun to hunt, and they're like, oh shit, now I have to cook this thing. I would say the majority of people were like that when I was growing up, and it's a hard thing. And then you grow up, and you're like, oh man, if I don't get this thing cut up right now, it's not going to be tender. I mean, when do you clean it? When do you get the meat off of it? There's all these factors to it now that can really affect the taste of the meat. And then how do you cook it? Like wine, cognac, port are deer's best friend. You can have so much with that. You could do a roast and just dump that with a demi-glace, and it's unreal. So it's just, I think people just don't know how to cook it, and they don't get really creative with it. They just know the basics, like you guys said. Like you see the summer sausages, you see the jerkies and stuff, and then that's it. And they let that deer just hang, and that's just gets rancid, and it's just not as good. If it's not fresh and it's not ready. I'm not saying cut the deer up the second you kill it and then go cook it, but you got to get that meat off fast. That's something when I grew up, that wasn't a thing. Now it's very well known that's part of it.
Right.
I think a lot of them just don't have experience with it. They, never had it, never cooked with it, don't have access to it. I mean, there's a lot of proteins that people don't think about eating just because they're not prevalent. Rabbit, goat, lamb. I mean, it just depends on where you're at. all they ever see is beef, chicken, and pork. It's like there is
Yeah.
more to eat than beef, chicken, and pork.
My
Yeah.
family still hunts all the time, and they will send me the meat to cook for them because they still don't know how. I'm like, bro,
Right.
you've been cooking since I was a baby. And here I am cooking for you, and I have to smoke the meats, I have to do all these things, or I have to help them with stuff, and it's just, I think people just don't really know. Even though they have done it for years, they still don't really know. They have their basics and they stick to it.
What's that? My grandmother, she grew up eating like rabbit stew and pig brains and all kinds of just squirrel gravy and stuff like that. And the mention of deer, she's like, ew, no. And I'm like, I mean, you'll eat all that stuff. I guess it's just stuff you're familiar with. But you would think, though, I mean, deer is such an integral part of American heritage. I mean, deer is prevalent throughout the whole United States, and you just think that it would be more prevalent as far as how to cook it. And it's I think it's just a misunderstood protein, especially it's free protein. Have you seen your grocery bill? I mean, it's so high. You have tons of free meat just running around outside for you.
I don't know if you could call it free.
That's true. That's
Most
true.
expensive free meat ever.
How much is that?
We're not adding the cost up. It's free. Free.
Have you
meat.
seen Jeff Foxworthy's skit on that?
Yeah, no, it's free meat. Nope, free meat. I've said it. I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, but if if you have friends, there's people out there that have, like Brian said, Brian could probably cook a hell of meat. I think it was Brian said it. He's still got meat in his freezer.
Right.
Go to Brian's house and go, bro, what do you got? And go cook it. You learn how to do it. Honestly, it's a great flavor. It's really, it's the funniest. I think deer is the most polarizing because it can be very good or very bad.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
The other problem is, like, if you Google safe temperature to cook deer to on Google, it says like 160, 165. Well, that's don't do that because it will not be good. It will be a dry, stringy, chewy piece of shit.
It's like eating bad. You had goat. It's like eating goat. If it's
I've
not
never
good.
had goat.
Goat's amazing. I love goat.
It is good if you cook it properly. It's delicious.
Yeah.
But it's like deer though. If you cook it improperly, it's
awful.
not. The dog wanting you to be like, nah.
Pork fat, bacon, and wine is your best. You can't miss.
Yeah, deer. It has to be accompanied by something else. You can't just do like deer needs a best friend with it. It needs some herbs. It needs some, like you said, pork, some fat, something to give it some flavor to it.
Next time you grind it up, run some pancetta through with it.
Oh, I'm 100%. Like, but so Bob's coming down. And he's gonna teach me how to make some. I told new pizza oven. I got a new pizza oven. He's gonna teach me how to do it. I said I want some deer pizza. Like we're gonna do some funky stuff. I'm gonna do some videos for the podcast, but I'm very excited about all the different ways to do deer.
Yeah, Cordy actually, they're just started doing it this year. They're giving people the option to add Wagyu. They're gonna add Wagyu beef fat in with their ground deer. I haven't had a chance to try it yet, but Kyle and
All
Jay
those
tell me
brisket trims.
it's amazing.
I bet that'd be good. I don't know. You think it'd be good? I feel like pork fat is better with deer than beef tallow.
They said it's really good.
Oh,
I guess it depends on what you're doing with it. If you're
You ever-
going more for a ground beef style, then the beef fat would be fine.
Have you ever canned deer meat? Use beef tallow with it. So I don't really use a lot of beef tallow, but I think it'd be great. Actually, I think it'd be really good.
I mean, I'm down to try anything deer. You've had deer heart. Deer heart's really delicious.
We see deer heart at camp. That was the thing. You take the heart of the deer and you cook it up. And then when you were young and you first came to deer camp as a cousin, you would get the deer balls and told that it was something that it's not.
The Utah oysters.
Yeah, they're good though, man. That took me a long time to get over my PTSD, but when I did, they're delicious, man.
Is the P and PTSD penis?
Yeah. Plus, I eat the hell out of them now though. If someone comes up to me, man, I get some Rocky Mountain, some oysters, some balls. Let's just be real. Throw some salt and pepper, some butter, some
marinara sauce. I did
that.
that in Colorado. It was like we're at a restaurant. And I'm like, I always try like the local stuff, whatever it is. And it's like, you want some Rocky Mountain oysters? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I thought it was oysters. I didn't know what it was. And they brought it out with some marinara sauce. I'm like, all right, fuck it, let's go. It's deep fried. I ate it. And I'm like, this is really good. And my buddy's like, that's balls. I'm like, yeah, let's go.
My family, they're all about the liver, the gizzards, chicken gizzards.
I don't like chicken gizzards. Jolly gizzards and stuff like that. I feel like
Yeah.
Black livers.
Gizzards are the best.
I don't I don't
Ooh.
like livers. Livers, the texture gets me with livers. It's too mushy. But I love chicken gizzards and I love chicken hearts for
Chicken
sure.
hearts are so
I'll
good.
do chicken hearts. That's great. But no, like chicken like it's just, man, it's like bait. Like I'd rather use it for catfish bait than I would for like eating that stuff. And I feel like I'm not a true redneck. I don't eat chicken gizzards. I hate it.
I don't know.
They're
I mean,
really
if you
good
hate
at
it, you hate it. But try it, deep fry it with some good like
Of course.
chicken breading. Put some brown gravy on it, like they used to at KFC. Man, it's so good.
No, I've tried like really good chicken gizzards because I mean around here like they sell it at every grocery store.
Oh, really?
Like I mean I'm in Kentucky, so it's like every grocery store has chicken gizzards, fried chicken gizzards, and I've tried them like
Oh, man.
whatever. Anywho,
That's like beef cheek. Back when I was a kid, we literally used beef cheek as snap and turtle
barbacoa?
bait. I'd never heard of cooking it and eating it until I was till probably 3 or 4 years ago. And I mean, it took me a few times to like get over like not this. I mean, because when we use it for turtle bait, that shit stank. It was pretty much getting rotten because it needed to be kind of rotten to use for the turtles. So that's what I always associated with beef cheeks. And then somebody gives me a beef cheek taco, and I was like, "Why in the hell are we wasting this for turtle bait? This stuff's delicious."
everybody in Latin America, you idiot.
Yeah.
That's the best part. That's the premium parts. That's like pork belly. Like around here, like deer camp, I cooked pork belly burnt ends one year for all the guys, and like my dad's friends looked at me like, "Pork belly, ew, that's gross." I'm like, "You like bacon?" Yeah, I like bacon.
Exactly.
Like the same shit. Call it Sally. All right, it's like it's the transgender version of bacon. All right, it just has dress on. You don't know. It's delicious. Just eat the shit. Just eat it.
Yeah, I think cooking with it is it's hard because there's I think they kind of killed it with all that. It's hard, but I don't know. It's weird the way that they don't, considering how popular deer hunting is.
I know. I feel like we need to bring it up. We need to, I feel like tri-tips finally getting popular around this area. We need to bring deer venison. We need to have cooking courses or cooking classes on how to cook venison properly and let people try this stuff. And it's like, if you like steak, this is more healthy. Like everybody's on a health kick nowadays. And venison is so healthy and so lean. It's literally the chicken of the red meat world. I mean, it's so healthy for you. You get 0 points on your Weight Watchers. Just eat this stuff.
I also think it's hard like bringing up elk though, because when you're going to eat something of like it, elk is just
elk is amazing, and buffalo too. Buffalo's so good.
Yeah, so I mean, if you have the choice a lot, and so you're like, give me all the elk, and
Sure. No, I get that.
Second fiddle.
And also, guys, you need to eat more venison because the number one killer. What animal kills more people in the United States than anything else? It's deer. Deer kill more people across America than any other animal out there. So you're worried about snakes, spiders, and alligators. No, you need to kill more deer. Because especially this time of year, man. I literally driving home tonight. No BS. Got on a motorcycle, hit a deer crossing the road, laid him down. It was pretty rough. So I was like, man, dude, it's this time of year. Like driving motorcycles at night in the country is definitely not something I'd recommend, because they are nuts. And like deer, when they get horny, they don't think about anything else. They're just like playing Frogger with their lives, jumping across the interstates and
keeping the body shops in business.
Yeah.
Yep,
But-
that's true. And I think it's because people swerve. If pro
No,
tip, if you
I
just-
thought to my wife, I said, if a deer jumps out in front of you, have the kids plow that thing.
Yep, head straight onto it. You'll be
Yeah.
fine. It's when you swerve that's when
That's what kills. Yeah, when you swerve, that's what kills everybody. It's just like, man, just plow that thing through. You ever seen like a deer driving down the interstate and like a semi hits it? You see, like,
Yeah.
the red mist. It's like
Yeah.
vaporized.
Vaporized.
But no, man. But that's that's kind of what I want to talk about. Thank you guys so much for coming on the show. I'm gonna do this every year, deer season. I feel like especially in the South and everywhere across. I mean, deer hunting is such an integral part of our culture, and it's great memories and from everybody. So I think it's important to talk about. So
Logan,
but,
I got one more thing.
please.
Personal service announcement. So I used to help. So Cordy Meats processes around 4,000 deer a year.
Sure.
And I used to help when I was younger. I used to help skin deer and bone them out and all that stuff. The biggest thing that we as hunters, I'm just going to say that we pretty much suck at, or that a lot of people suck at, is field dressing the animal and cleaning it out properly. And then also the ice. These people they'll field dress their deer. And I understand if you don't have a bone saw or something to cut the rib cage open, that's fine. But you need to cut it, get all the guts out of it. And then when the most important part to put ice is on the hams. These guys never do it. They'll shove the rib cage full of ice, and there won't be an ounce of ice on the hams. And they get a call that, hey, I'm sorry, we can't do anything with this deer. The ham, it's spoiled. And these hunters they're baffled because they're like, well, we put 30 pounds of ice in it. Yeah, you did in the rib cage. The rib cage the meat is this thick on the rib cage. That ham is a big piece of meat. That's for everybody out there that's listening. That is the most important place to get your ice. Put it in there, and then if you can close the legs together with that ice sandwiched in there, you need to get the big, thick pieces of meat cooled down as fast as you can. We've seen it all there.
Yeah, I bet. Meat
just
processing.
the other day, these hunters brought a deer in, and they cut the slit in the back legs like if you were going to hang it.
Sure.
And they literally took one of the back legs and tucked it into that slit on the other back leg. So it literally it was literally like crossed like this. So them hams weren't even getting, they were literally just hot still.
We used to do this.
Yeah, but Rusty, you're in Utah though, man. Like outside is like 26 degrees, so you don't need ice.
That was the best part. We literally
let that shit
we would
hang.
kill it and and just leave it out.
Yeah.
Well, if you're like in the 40s and 30s, then you can do that. Like that's fine.
It's 20s, 30s when it comes.
Yeah. Like I said, that's totally fine because actually if you hang it upside down and let the adrenaline get out, it's actually better. But especially this season, like I'm gonna be hunting in shorts and short sleeves apparently because it's so freaking hot here, and I hate hunting when it's warm. But I definitely like what Chad said. Like make sure be aware of your surroundings. No matter if you're in a cold area like Rusty is up in Utah, or if you're in the 40s and 30s and stuff, you don't need to worry about ice. It's fine. You can hang the deer overnight and it'd be fine. But if you're in the 60s and 70s, which it is here unfortunately in Western Kentucky and Middle Tennessee, definitely don't be letting your deer hang out very long because that stuff will spoil fast. So either take it immediately to the processor, which is what I do, or do what Chad said, pack it full of ice, and make sure you handle it properly because it is meat and you don't want to let that deliciousness go to waste.
Weird. What would we like to hunt in the sun and the hotness? That'd be weird. I wouldn't like it either.
It's weird, man. Dude, it sucks because the deer nah, I'll eat at night. Like I'm literally on my phone's getting blown up right now with all the little deer pictures on my trail cams. Like ding ding ding. It's like, all right, sun's down, let's eat, bitches. It's like the Golden Corral. Like whenever the sun goes down, the deer just go. But no, man. But that's it. That's our show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will be. Oh, hey, before I go, Rusty. Next week is Mr. Rusty's birthday, and so I want to wish you a very happy birthday. I'm sending you some male strippers to your house. I'll need your address whenever we get off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Best birthday present ever.
Best ever. But no, man, we appreciate you and we appreciate want to wish you a happy birthday. So he's going to sit next week out, but and next week I'm at deer camp, so we'll figure it out. I may be a little inebriated, so tune in. Who knows what I'm going to talk about next weekend? But I appreciate you guys watching. And Chad and Brian, do you have anything you want to say before we head out? I appreciate you guys coming on as well.
No, not a problem.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Had a blast.
Absolutely, man. Well, like I said, man, when it as always, when it comes to barbecue, make sure you're always right on cue. See you guys.
That's all, folks.